All right. Who were you reporting to? The land planner at the time, or?
When I was a cat tech, yes, I was reporting. I wasn't reporting to the land planner, but I was working with the land planner. I was reporting to actually development directors.
Mm-hmm. All right. And who were you collaborating with regularly?
Land planners.
All right. Um, and were there any other cat techs that you were working with?
No, actually, I was the only cat tech in the company.
Oh, okay. All right. So you were the only one making all these drafts for
Yes.
all the projects that you had? That must have been
Yeah,
quite some work, right?
I know. Yes, that's why I'm saying the time management was an issue because it was crazy.
All right. Can you give me like a little idea about how much work you were doing or exactly what the
Yeah,
scope was? Like, yeah.
sure. So we have three teams that working on three different regions, and then each team has its own land planner, and then which doing all those like land planning, site planning, and then it was me as a cat tech supporting the three teams, three land planners with their, site cleaning or any changes to their site plan that they needed, but they needed a little bit of help. So it was probably about 5 or 6 projects per time at a time, but because it wasn't like a major changes or major planning, and it was coming from the design planners, and I was working with them, so
Mm-hmm.
it was doable and manageable, but it needed a lot of like time management skill, like know your priorities
Mm-hmm.
and all those.
All right. And were you using AutoCAD here for this role?
Yes, AutoCAD
Any
and
other
Photoshop.
tools? All right.
AutoCAD and
Photoshop.
Photoshop.
Any other tools?
Oh no, those two. Those two were
All
my
right.
main ones.
All right. And let's see. So the apartments that you were working on, I'm assuming that the design must be somewhat similar every time, right?
Yes, it is.
So did you ever like create a template or something that you could reuse to speed things up?
Well, those templates already been created before me. So when I got to the job, we already established them, and then just using those templates.
All right. So they were already there. Did you improve them in some way?
Yeah. We always improve them to see how we can make them more easier. I remember when I was doing it, one thing that I maybe updated. I did update it was like adding um, the um, the sidewalks for the building.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it was actually making it easier. So you would get use a block that actually is showing the sidewalks and how appropriate they need to be right next to each other. What's the width of it? How far they need to be from the intersection, the streets, and everything. And then I saved it in a template, and then so we would use it again and again. That was a that was probably, and everybody liked it because it made the whole process much faster. But I think that was the only change that I did.
All right. All right. Fair enough. All right. So do you want to move on to the next role, or is there anything else that you want to add for this?
I think no, that was it. That role was really, it was morely like I was literally a lamp planner with a cat tech status, so it wasn't really challenging or anything special for me.
All right. So, and before this, you were a lead planner intern, right?
Yes,
And then before that, you were a design intern. So you've been with this company throughout your career.
yes.
All right. And I saw that you did not really include anything on the lead planner and design intern roles in your resume. So do you not want those included, or?
Well, the design role that I had is more connected to the design associate role that I have right now. It's kind of like I started as a design intern, but then I got more into the development side and then came back to the design again. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it was really short. It was only 6 months, but it was a really full, busy of a 6 months. I didn't talk about it in my resume, but I would like actually to mention something in there. Since my
I'm sorry,
role
could
right
you?
now is design associate, and I want to get another job with the design title. So,
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a good idea. Plus, that also kind of increases the years of experience you're showing on your resume. All right.
awesome.
So we'll move on to the lead planner intern first and just talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
So again, can you tell me about your key responsibilities for this role?
hmm well, when I was a design intern, I was working closely with the design manager on
Mm-hmm.
new ideas and drawing and drafting them in the CAD so we can
Okay.
present them to our CEO, internal and external counselors or the companies that we are working with.
Mm-hmm.
I also, yeah, it was mostly drafting, but like drafting of new ideas that we wanted to implement in our prototype. So it was mostly
All,
drafting,
all
architectural
right. And
drafting though.
these, all right. And these new ideas that you mentioned, could you elaborate a little on that?
Yeah, sure. One project that I worked on was a new building design that we created. It was a townhome style apartment that we created. Um, 10, 10 units with 10 parking attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I started that project from scratch, and that's actually a project. That's actually a building that we have right now in our um, apartment portfolios. I work on
Mm-hmm.
a, I also work on we call it like a pocket office. It's an office created underneath the staircase. So that was
Okay.
full my